YouTube, what's going on? Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, every so often, but we got this weird thing here. Give us a second here. Okay,
It's good.
that went away. Look how much brighter it looks to me. I don't know, maybe it's just my camera. Yours is foggy again. This happens all the time. Anyway,
So, moving on.
well, I don't know. Maybe I'll just ignore yours. But I love YouTube. I can't ignore yours.
Right.
So hopefully you guys can hear us okay. If you can, just give us a thumbs up. We have a lot of things that we are really, really super excited and grateful to speak about, bring you up to speed. You find us here at the Gilded Iguana. Look at this hand-painted tile, by the way. Isn't that beautiful?
I love it.
It's amazing. I guess
Yeah.
it's done here locally in, locally, Nicaragua. But, you know, I absolutely love it. It's a little
Yeah.
bit more expensive than other local tiles, but it's like hand-painted. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I can just see using it in many places. And we
Yeah, I
wanna-
see more of it in our future.
Yeah, there'll be more, and we've seen a couple of different things. Hey, Nix, 2525, how are you? Can you hear us okay? We've got dueling. We're gonna have a little social media battle, right? I want to see how many people like us and follow us and comment on YouTube, and how many do on Facebook. So it's like Mark Zuckerberg, YouTube, and Google.
Okay. I mean, there
There's
we go.
a thumbs up. Facebook, Mark is already winning. In any event, so a lot of amazing things happening. So many, in fact, I mentioned to Erica, we were in the ocean. We go twice a day.
Yeah.
We started this 5 a.m. ritual, which means we wake up at 5 in the morning and we go down to the ocean first thing, and then we end the evening. We watch the sunset every single night that we've been here
Yeah.
in the ocean, which is amazing. We usually have to like exit. It's getting dark, and for those of you who haven't been here to Nosara, you walk down 200 meters, which is about 660 feet, through like natural forest that's never been disturbed or cleared or anything before you get to the ocean. So we walk through this path, and it's nighttime. Yesterday it started raining. It's the rainy season now. It's just amazing, like amazing wilderness. Grateful beyond belief.
Gorgeous.
And I think many of you know I was born and raised here, so it's like I'm home, you know. I went on a spiritual journey earlier this year in Costa Rica
Right.
with you.
Yes.
And
yes, I
one
was
of the-
there.
Yeah, one of the things that became really apparent to me was just how much I missed Costa Rica and how important it can be in my future and our future, going back to the roots, and then really applying a lot of the short-term rental, hospitality, and responsible hosting and building of communities, like in my motherland,
Yeah.
not just in other places, like including it. And it's becoming a bigger and bigger part. So super psyched and grateful about that. And we'll update you about what's going on, which is super exciting. But first, I know many of you have been asking about the Outer Banks project. The Outer Banks and Hurricane Dorian has been a big deal in the news of late, with a lot of real reason. I mean, it absolutely devastated Grand Bahamas and the Bahamas as a whole, and our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the people who are now homeless and devastated, and it's just awful. So
Absolutely.
don't want to at all overlook that or minimize that. There's a lot of loss and tragedy involved. That said, quite fortunately, and I'm very grateful that we were entirely spared where we were in Waves and Salvo, the Outer Banks. So even though Hatteras Island and Ocracoke, which is an island just off of Hatteras Island, had much worse flooding, and the area closest to Ocracoke to the south of where our projects are were both flooded. But I mean, I haven't been personally, I can't say, and I'm sure there's a lot of devastation and loss, and I don't mean to minimize that either. But my understanding is there's been some flooding, some tidal flooding into some of the low-lying areas, and some of the lower homes that aren't on pilings or stilts had 1 foot of water or 2 feet of water, things like that. And then where our properties are actually being built, as many of you know, we haven't actually broke ground yet. What we've been doing is clearing the lot, putting in fill, so our timing was fortuitous. We got very fortunate that we had no machinery, we had no homes, we had no foundation, we had nothing started, so therefore nothing really at risk. But even still, the way that the storm blew, we were completely spared. I have videos of every single one of our properties, including our house. We didn't lose a single shingle, we didn't lose anything. There was one rocking chair that was knocked over, and I have a photo of it. So I have photos and videos of every single property, walking around, no flooding, no issues, no risk, no loss, except for that one rocking chair. So And even
Incredibly
that,
grateful.
yeah, incredibly grateful. Even that, my understanding is the rocking chair is fine. It's just 2 screws came out. So, got to fix that, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Whew,
Super
so
important detail.
So we
Super
dodged,
important detail. Exactly. Wanted you to know that.
we dodged a bullet. I mean, it was a major storm, absolutely
Right.
major storm, tragic. So,
Right.
but in any event, the Outer Banks project is sound. We've resumed. Things are moving forward. We're back on.
Amazing.
I was proactive in communication with our investors and sent them 3 emails, one before the storm, one during the storm, and one after the storm. And I'll be sending another one. We had actual videos. My broker, Dan, thank you so much, Dan, who was in Avon, whose wife's store, I don't know what kind of store, flooded. She had a foot of water. It's the 3rd time that that's happened to her in 30 or 40 years. So Dan's finally decided he's going to put it on 3-foot pilings. So anyway, my man Dan, once he got his wife's store sorted out, went, checked out all of our properties, all of the lots, every single one, took photos, videos. There's no standing water.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's cool. What else?
Kind of a big day.
Tell us. Tell us. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't.
No.
So we are finally officially under contract for our home here in Nosara, and I'm so excited because I'm so in love with it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a process, and to be perfectly fair, we don't own it yet. We haven't closed on it. Lots of things can happen. There's all sorts of things, and so I want to, moderate your excitement, and we're not going to introduce any negativity because I'm eternally optimistic, and it will, in fact, happen. But we're not going to celebrate it until it actually happens. But it's a kind of a big deal. There's all sorts of, it's my first purchase internationally. That's not true. I actually used to own a lot of land when I was a child here, because back in the prehistoric ages, if you can imagine, when there was no things like airplanes or electricity, when I grew up here, the natural waterfront was protected, right? So the government only allowed local residents, Ticos, as we're formally known, we had to own the entire coastline. So the basic premise was nobody wanted some very wealthy foreigner coming in and just buying the Gold Coast. So they made it so that only locals could buy the most prime waterfront parcels. And so my father, as I think some of you know, was American. My mother was Costa Rican. I was born in Costa Rica. And my father wanted to buy and own some of those prime parcels of land. And so since I was Tico, this kid was a landowner. Now I didn't, it was just in paper. And then like a fool, when I graduated college, I was like, yeah, I'm not going down there for any time soon. And so my father ended up selling it and had a lot of great land, and we're about to do it again.
We're about to do it again.
Exactly. So anyway, lots of great things happening here in Nosara, but interestingly, I thought what you were going to say was that we met with the owner of the boutique hotel that we've been under contract with.
I mean, literally, it's been a day of highlights. It has. I mean, there's a number to choose from. So it was, we had lunch with an absolutely fabulous gentleman who.
So nice. So cool.
I mean, my gosh. So nice. And what was really cool was the commonalities that he and Richard had.
So true.
Yeah. So, same age.
Although he's been living in a blue zone for about 20 years, and he kind of looks it.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about that. I told Erica the only way, she's like, well, now we're going to be spending time here, and so it's going to work. And I was like, no. We need to put in a lot of time to look, significantly younger and be affected by the blue zone. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So I'm going to do that work. You're going to do the work. We're going to put in the time down here in the blue zone.
Yes. I need to look younger.
We both do. I mean, so anyway, Ricardo has been living down here for 20 some odd years.
And
Richard.
Right, so there's that as well.
Here's a funny story.
Go.
My little known fact, my first birth certificate was rejected summarily by my father. So I was born, they gave him the birth certificate, and he said no. The reason was because on the birth certificate, he told him my name was Richard, and they typed Ricardo. And he was like, no, this is Richard. Do it again. So
Interesting.
for a moment there,
For a moment.
I was Ricardo.
Yeah.
So maybe we're even more similar. He kept that moment extended.
Right.
I
Right.
changed it.
He went with it. So, or his dad did.
Right, exactly.
But interestingly, he was sharing just how long his team had been working with him and how he had invested in all of his team members, how they were all really happy, and how, because I was really asking why are they staying? Why are they happy? What
Right.
feeds them?
Right.
And what do they need? What do we need to continue to feed in order for them to continue to be happy? And because obviously we want to know that, we want to respect that, we want to uphold that. And so, your team members, the majority have been with you for years and years and years, and you continue to grow and feed them
Totally.
and stretch them and change their lives. And so,
And it's reciprocal, right? Because
Absolutely.
then they reinvest in me and us and everything that we're doing, and then I grow and they grow, and so it works really well. But as you've said all that, it's evident to me that this is actually a little bit different than things that I've done in the past, and I haven't even really thought about it until just now. But we're buying an operating business, basically, right? So this isn't an Airbnb, this isn't a 5-bedroom house, and I'm just Airbnb-ing it. This is a one tenant just left, so it's now 15-room boutique hotel with a restaurant operation, a travel agency operation, and so this is an operating business, an entity, multiple entities, where we are doing due diligence in a fashion that we haven't done before, because now we're operating a business and we're interviewing employees and things like that. We're hiring, we're entering into contracts and lease negotiations, and it's quite different than just Airbnb-ing a 5-bedroom or 7-bedroom house, which I've done, forever.
but it is on Airbnb, correct?
It is on Airbnb, although
Or
I don't
can
think.
be,
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
okay.
And we'll give more discussion about it as we go through the process until we actually own it. I think it's foolhardy for us to talk too much about it. It's just speculation. But my point being that it's just different, and so now we're interviewing people and trying to make decisions and speaking to lawyers. And are they going to be freelance professionals, or are they going to be full-time employees, and who's going to be the employee, and who do we promote, and who do we switch over? And so there's a lot of different moving parts, and we have about 10 or 11 days to do it, so we'll get it done. It's not a big deal.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, it is what it is. And I've been teaching a lot recently in videos, and I don't know if they've been released yet, or maybe they will be released, or you and I have been speaking a lot about it. We're going to Tony Robbins on relationships, just the importance of relationships, and I don't mean with significant others and spouses and loved ones necessarily. I mean relationships in your business, your service providers, your employees, your brokers, your agents, your insurance people. The relationship component of it is just so incredibly critical that it allows you to get a running start, or pivot really quickly, or do whatever once you have trusted allies on your team. And we spent, I think it was yesterday, we went Facebook Live, we talked about the power of relationships and so on. But then yet again today, speaking with this gentleman from the hotel who owns it, selling it to us, listening to all of the people and all the strengths and the merits, and I asked him to put something in writing and share with me responsibilities and an organization chart and how the business is currently running. And so he was telling me about different people and contractors and consultants, and I was up to speed. I knew, right? I finished a sentence. I was like, "Oh, you mean that consultant?" He was like, "Yeah." But where necessary, we're going to lean on what's working well. Where it's not working well, we'll just make a couple of tweaks. And a lot of the investment thesis, besides being really congruent with our why, that we want to be here and be fully immersed in yoga and surfing and healthy eating and blue zone living and all of that, which is completely consistent with everything that we believe in, is a real estate play and hospitality and location. And interestingly, it'll be the second brand, if you will, or an extension of the Outer Banks project. So the Outer Banks project that's focused on kite surfing, this one will be focused on surfing. So when we release the brand, and we have a branding meeting in Portland in October, with somebody who I respect the heck out of. I'm just so excited that, and he's thrilled to work with me. I mean, us, right?
So badass. Totally.
He's just whoa. And he speaks to every single boutique hotel company in the world, some of the best, some of the brightest, some of the most successful, some of the most innovative, some of the most disruptive. And he and I have shared what it is that I'm working on and the locations that I'm working on and so on. And he's fired up, and we're super excited and grateful that we have this meeting. Reminds me, I owe him an email. Can you make sure I do that?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyway, we're going to do that. And now I'm working on an option that just manifested. I'm going to be extremely vague about it because it just is so early stage. Again, when you talk about viewing the world opportunistically and dreaming and so on, this is so big that I didn't even dream it. I didn't know that this was a possibility, and so I'm shooting for it. I had very vague notions that we would expand this concept at a couple of different places around the world and a couple of different activities, and that just really resonates and I think makes a lot of sense. But now there's opportunities literally in front of us that might do that at an accelerated rate, and it's just amazing. So can I get some hearts or thumbs up or some excitement, some enthusiasm? Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, I mean, and
I'm so excited.
YouTube has one thumbs up. I'm boycotting. Look at this on Facebook. Oh, hearts! We got all sorts of stuff. Hearts galore. Now we got 2 thumbs up. Boy, oh boy! I mean, Mark Zuckerberg.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, let's see if there's any questions. And I don't know. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Maybe that's the thing. All right, so we got Nick's 2525. YouTube is where it's at. All right, thumbs up. I'm on YouTube as well. Need be. Thank you. Todd says it sounds terrible.
Oh.
And then this guy says good sound. He says congrats, you guys. We'll just say Erica is the YouTube audio. Richard is the Facebook audio.
Sorry, YouTube.
So Marianne, how are you? Andy, how are you? 2 thumbs up. Audio's fine. Awesome. Tyler, how are you, my man? Kim, how are you?
Hey!
What's going on? Sophie, how are you? We got all sorts of Nashville people in the house.
Awesome.
Hey, Kim. Do you travel for the purpose of looking at investing? The correct answer is yes. I travel with the purpose of looking at investing, but only because I look at travel as almost everything, right? Excitement, enthusiasm, culture, spirit, soul, connection, relationship. So for me, travel is incredibly important. So I'm always looking at investment ideas. And then the other thing I would say, the reason I answered yes, my gut told me to say no, I don't travel with the intent to invest. But the way that my mind works, I'm constantly finding investment opportunities, and I'm trying to say no to many of them. But I just walk around the world and investment, boom, boom. I don't know. It's weird. Is that not true?
It is true. It is true.
Yeah, and one of these opportunities that I just mentioned earlier about manifesting.
It's so nuts.
It's so insane. The reason it came about.
And I've got a front row seat. It's front row seat, and I'm still blown away.
This is how life happens for you.
Right.
Life happens for you.
It is
Doesn't
real.
happen to you. It happens for you.
So real.
So I had an incident with a service provider that I wanted to do. I wanted to hire, and it was all set up, and we had dates, and I was supposed to do something, a deposit, and whatever. Just I followed all the instructions and didn't work out, and then it was kind of blamed on me because I didn't follow them quickly enough, even though I didn't know there was a time limit, or just poor hospitality is what I would call it. Very poor. And so my mind immediately, I hang up the phone, or I think we were emailing. Yeah, we were emailing. And I turned to Erica. I was like, we should just compete with this guy. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we can totally do better than this. Like, that's nonsense. Like, nobody in their right mind should have to put up with this. Like, we should just open up a competing shop.
Yeah, literally. What?
Right. And Erica's like, huh? And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Like, we can do this better. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Like let's just do it. And she's like, but I don't want to do that. And like, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, let's just do it. And so that's the initial thing. My initial thing is, let's just compete. You can do it better. And so then I reach out to some people in the community that I know, my network, my relationships. I'm like, do you guys know this guy? Like, what's up with that? Like, oh yeah, I'm surprised you had that. And I was like, well, I don't know. Something weird, this, that, the other. Next thing you know, he might be looking to exit. So I don't even need to compete with him. I might just like buy his thing. And so
And then learned that his thing
has many other massive things underneath it. And he'd like to exit in one fell swoop.
It was kind of like the whole Titanic situation where it was like, this is the iceberg. Oh, wait, like below the surface.
Your shirt keeps turning. We're going to move this. It may not look so great, but we're going to try and help YouTube out. See if that helps. So how cool is that, right? So like, I never dreamt that would happen. Low network connection available. I never dreamt that would happen, so I wasn't dreaming of it. I couldn't have imagined having a poor customer service issue, deciding that I'd compete with him, finding out only that business might be available for sale, and that business, by the way, has 20 other businesses underneath it that are much more interesting and compelling, and the investment purpose. And it's like, yeah. Sounds great.
Right. But that's true manifestation.
Right, exactly. So Marianne.
That's what we're attracting.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Marianne, I don't travel with the express purpose to invest, although I used to do that professionally. When I worked on Wall Street, I ran a $4.5 billion hedge fund, and I traveled the world looking for investments. So historically, career-wise, I've done that and did it quite well. And the basic premise there was to find mispriced assets earlier with a lot of upside, and the key thing was to understand what was at risk. So we wanted as little at risk as possible for the biggest returns as possible. We wanted a broadly diversified geographic portfolio spread across all the world, and we wanted to have as many different investment strategies that were non-correlating, so that anything that happened in any one asset class really didn't cause more than a minor blip in the portfolio. And the reason is simply compounding. Right? You never want to lose any money. The first rule of investing is don't lose money. So we never wanted to lose money. So we were broadly diversified geographically, by strategy, by sub-strategy. And so we built this portfolio, and I traveled the world to do that. So I used to do that. Now I hang out. So yes, I travel the world to do that, but I travel for much more fun. I think we beat this. And by the way, if any of you thought that was kind of interesting and compelling on how we build portfolios, we cover a lot of that in the live event in Miami coming up November 2nd and 3rd. And there's a pre-registration link up there for the early bird notice up there. I think the email's going out tomorrow morning. And then I think sales open up for the early bird people early. And then, I don't know. Someone's in charge of that. And thankfully, it's not me.
And Ms. Gray already has her ticket.
Yes.
Because she's alumni.
I love it. There you go.
Holla!
Mark, how you doing, my man? Charlotte, how are you doing? I hope your place is okay with Dorian. Paula, how are you? Gary Cook, Josephine, Cheryl Lim from Seattle. We're going to be in Seattle.
Yes. I've never been to Seattle. I can't wait. I wish we were going to be in Seattle for a longer period of time, but I'm so excited to go.
Listen, there's people on YouTube.
Yes.
And we've got 3 thumbs up.
Uh-huh.
And somebody going to suffer through the 4th? Wait, we got Akin. Akin is coming.
Yes!
Akin. Awesome. Akin is bringing his spouse. He's a repeat attendee, and he's bringing his spouse.
Huge.
So thank you. I can't wait
to meet her. Can't wait to meet her.
Napalm Jesus is in the house. Nice. All right. Now we got
Probably
6.
going to travel
Now we
from
got
Sydney,
6.
Australia for Miami. Holy smokes. Amazing, Todd.
Todd is going to travel from Sydney, Australia for Miami. Come, listen.
Don't make it a probably.
just-
Just make it happen. I
Dude.
promise it'll be amazing.
Listen, the price of the ticket and the round trip airfare, even if you fly business class or first class, like that will be coming your way, like guaranteed, dude. If you've got the open mind and you're willing to get on an airplane and go across those continents and travel that far, you're right for this. So I will see you there, and we will change your life forever.
Awesome.
Lots of great dinners at the Gilded Iguana. Congratulations on your Nosara contract. Thank you, Bryn. Yeah. The Gilded Iguana has been very good to us. We're friendly with the owner and the developer, and he's been very kind. He's opened up the surf club down the way, so we've been spending a lot of time down at the surf club, which is a really interesting and compelling opportunity, a new view of looking at hospitality and sports. And when Charles comes down,
Chuck Mouse.
Charles is coming down to Nosara on Friday, friends. We are doing some serious content on the hotel that we're buying, the home that we're buying, the area, the activities, the opportunity set, like in depth, in detail, if you want to see how it's done. And by the way, like I could really fail, stub my toe, hurt myself, have an ouchie, like all sorts of bad things could happen. You're going to see it.
Yeah.
You know? So like learn from my mistakes. There will definitely be mistakes. There will definitely be hiccups, couple of ouchies. And then we'll recover, we'll recoup,
Totally.
we'll be like stronger, better than ever, and boom, off to the races.
Nail it.
Right? Are you worried?
Totally. No.
No, it's insane. Like,
No.
we've never done this before, but totally own it.
Yes.
Like a boss.
Yes.
Like a bossy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Catherine, how you doing? Mr. Swart is in the house. Mark, sound on Facebook is great. Kenny, another alumni. And Sophie, another alumni. You can already see the Blue Zone effect. The Blue Zone effect. You know, it's so marvelous. Like, everybody should experience this.
Oh my gosh, I love you.
Right? How great is it?
It's so great.
It's amazing. So
Yes.
we've been having
I am
a
blessed
great,
beyond
great
measure.
time.
It's amazing here.
Look who else is in the house. Hardick.
Hardick.
And look, Kim agrees. Everyone. It's amazing. We're having so much fun. The life is so incredible. Like, it's still dirt roads down here. We walk through these paths. And last night? It's tropical jungle. Literally tropical jungle. You hear howling monkeys and
Should I
all
do
sorts
it?
of birds. She can do the howling monkey hard. Go ahead. Listen, but not until we get YouTube up. If we can get YouTube to 9, we're at 7. 7, like, thank you very much, you guys. But if we get to 9, she's going to do the howling monkey. And, yeah, Hardick, you're not allowed. Hardick, you can't throw it over there.
Hey, yes he can.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay, nope, we still only have 7 people. And the thing that YouTube doesn't understand is that they're harming the Facebook group.
Why?
Because, like, they're not hearing you do the howler monkey either. And everyone, can we get some, like, thumbs up? Howling monkey, howling monkey.
Oh my gosh, you're building it up. It's really not even that good.
Oh, you're very good at it.
Yeah.
I'm
better at the bird call.
Let's see here. Here we go. We got on Facebook, the bird call. Facebook, we got it. Ever consider dropping cleaning fees? Would it give a higher end listing feel when you drop fees and don't let people feel like they're nickel and dime? Hotels don't itemize their cleaning fees. You know what? I have never done it, and I actually kind of like the pass through because people aren't really looking when they search on Airbnb. They're not really looking at the all-in cost until they're closer to the checkout, right? So they're looking at the price per night. And so you're actually shooting yourself in the foot if you do it that way because it's no longer an apples-to-apples comparison. That said, I'm going to encourage you, Mark, anything that you want to test it. Rock the test. And then share with us like the results. Jorge, another Nashville alumni. How you doing, my friend? Nice to see you. Laura, hola, ¿cómo va? I need to step it up. I've never attended one of your workshops. Laura, sign up. The link is there.
Laura, see you in Miami.
Right, exactly. Sign up for the pre-registration right now.
It's gonna be a good one.
Do the monkey. There you go. Bill, how you doing? Nice to
Oh my
see you.
gosh, Bill.
All right, we still don't have more likes on YouTube.
On
here.
YouTube. Okay.
What's going on?
I don't know.
They don't want to hear the howling monkey. You guys want to hear the howling monkey.
Right,
Yeah, see, they
right.
definitely do.
Yes.
YouTube, we need 2 measly thumbs up. I can't believe people won't do it just to...
I'll do my bird call. Are you ready?
Yeah, the bird call's pretty legit. Maybe that'll spur them into action. Go ahead.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw!
Guys, can
Caw-caw!
we get some thumbs up for that?
Actually,
Let's see. Richard, where did this thing go? Uh-oh. Hold on a second. I saw a great comment that I wanted to read out loud. I've been watching you for over a year, learning, and I'm less than 2 weeks into renting out your downstairs. I'm nearly 1,000 richer and nothing but 5 stars. Awesome. That's so great, man.
amazing.
Hold on, where'd this thing go? Nothing but 5 stars. Thank you, sir. Listen, Robert, it's my absolute pleasure. Really, oh, you know what? Maybe we're at 8. It's our absolute pleasure. You're doing all the hard work, and here's the most important thing. As you continue to do it, save more, reinvest, double down. Just do it intelligently in a diversified fashion. Don't just like do what worked before, because it's not going to work on a go-forward basis. The competition in and around the places that you're buying are pretty high. You want to find places that have either have less competition and or have more demand and or are bringing the demand forward. So like here's a trick question, friends. I like throwing these up every once in a while. Does everybody think that Nosara, with us living here and owning a hotel and our own home and STRU and filming content and going live and talking about Nosara, will have more people investing in the future or less? Do you think it'll have more people coming here or less? And then what's that ratio? And so I believe that many more of you will come to visit Nosara than will actually buy here, but it's net positive for the Airbnbs in the area and the restaurants in the community. That said, check this out. There's a Canadian couple who contacted my man Chico
Amazing.
down here in Nosara from
And
watching
why?
our videos.
Why?
They're coming down in October now.
Right.
She and her husband are coming down in October. Chico's taking them out on tour. They're looking for a vacation rental. They're psyched. They're going to have a great time. They may end up buying a property or not. Chico's psyched. He's got like lead generation as a result of his relationship with us, which, you know, as relationships work, I want to grow him as much as possible and wish him nothing but the best and total success. And guess what? He feels the same way about us, and he's been super helpful and opened up a million different doors and just getting things done. And it's like, so.
And it all started with this really, I mean, I thought it was a really great video, our first trip here, where you interviewed him here at the
Right,
Iguana.
that's on the YouTube channel,
Right.
Which we're one like away. But in any event, one like away from your howling monkey call, friends. I can't believe you're not getting it.
What's the market like in Nosara?
The market is like steadily improving, and I think it will
We're gonna stop
accelerate.
it.
Oh, sorry. I think it will accelerate at an accelerating pace. Like what tends to happen is things go slow and steady for a period of time, and then there's like an inflection point, and then oftentimes they go exponential. So I have no crystal ball, but you know, I think there's a lot of really smart, talented people who've purchased and invested and reinvested and developed in an intelligent, sustainable way around the same tribe and community. And I think that tribe and community is getting stronger and bigger. There's a lot of full hotel buyouts around yoga. Like this is one of the yoga capitals of the world.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, every single
Right.
place has unbelievable yoga studio and retreats and whole hotel buyouts and instruction. And some of the best instructors travel through here, you know, multiple times a year. And so this is like a yoga, you know your tribe, right? This is what I've been teaching. Know your
Right.
tribe, and these people here in these hotels are catering to the yoga community, to the surfing community, to the fishing community. They're not out here just sort of saying like, stay here, we've got lodging,
Right.
right? And so each hotel has their own little like niche and specialty and so on. And so I think that the overall market and will be taking off in the near future at a increasing trajectory. I think, to be perfectly honest, and this isn't me like being egotistical, but I think I'll be a net positive to this area, just like I am in the Outer Banks, right? Like the views on YouTube and in Facebook and the people we speak with and so on is positive for the community. So, all right, we got to 9. Ladies
Okay,
and
but
gentlemen.
wait.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think there's a question on YouTube that
Here we go.
Yeah.
To the moon. I love it. Where's the question? We did
Go
this
down.
on 5 stars.
Yeah.
To the moon. More, I want some of those waves in Nosara and some yoga. Totally. Richard, when you first started this Airbnb journey, did you do it while keeping a full-time job? I'm thinking this could speed up saving for the second property. Do you feel that this is a bad idea? Wait, what would speed up? I'm thinking. Oh, so when I started the Airbnb journey, I was already a landlord and owned rental properties in a variety of different places. So for me, the switch was going from long-term to short-term when I realized how much better the investment opportunity, the rate of return was. Yes, there's a little bit more work, but I was being paid way far more than the work required. And then I was working a full-time job. I was self-employed at that time, building a business that I still continue to own to this day. So, I mean, I did work for myself, but in those years in particular, I worked incredibly hard because I was, the solopreneur, and it took me a long time in that business, which I launched in 2009. It took me 5 years or so, and then reading the book, The E-Myth, and attending all sorts of different self-development courses and speaking to people and mentors and hiring coaches and guides that I learned how to delegate and empower and build a team. And I've done many of those things before on Wall Street, but it's very different doing it, in my opinion, in the tighter labor market that I faced and in the hourly employee place as opposed to salaried, investment professional. So it took me a little while to delegate and figure that all out. So I was working many, many hours, and that's how I started the Airbnb journey. So I think you can totally do it as a side gig and keep a full-time job. And what I would encourage you to do is save everything from your Airbnb income to accelerate your rate of growth and reinvestment and so on. So we're at 9, friends. You get to hear the howling monkey. Erica's going to do the howling monkey.
Well, it's just.
And hold on.
It's not
if
necessarily
you like
howling. Yeah. And
it's
not
necessarily howling.
It's not necessarily howling. It's the only monkey noise I know.
But it's a good one.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though, friends. If you like it, you both have to, both Facebook and YouTube.
Well, I mean,
YouTube's
the build-up has been so silly.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do
legit.
this. All right, so you guys have agreed, right? You're
I
gonna
can't
hit the
do
thumbs up.
this.
All right, go for it. The pressure is on.
Right. So I can't look at the camera and do it.
I mean,
but the howling monkey is more like.
There's the hearts. Now we need some thumbs up over here. There we go.
This is a really proud moment for you, isn't it?
On public, YouTube. Sorry, the hearts are flowing. Amazing. Look, how many of you would go on Facebook Live in front of the world in perpetuity and make a monkey noise? How high is this lady's confidence? How much do we love her for that? Yeah, people on Facebook love you. YouTube's kind of like that.
I get it.
Catherine switched over. Mark, would I make more money selling your hotel as a timeshare? No, I don't think I would make more money selling my hotel as a timeshare. And, for me personally, a lot of the pleasure comes from the community that we will be building and the tribe, and then sending them from here to my place in the OBX and from my OBX place to the third place. And building this community is something that I think I'm going to cherish. And not that you couldn't do it with timeshare, it's a different model. No, I also think it's a little bit of an antiquated model. I think people generally don't like it anymore, and some resent it. And there's a secondary market to get out of timeshares, and I don't know, it's just not for me personally. So let's see, we talked about Nosara, more definitely. I think we're, good. Robert's all happy. So, any more questions, friends? Otherwise, I want to encourage you to click on the link in the description, pre-register for the early bird sign up for Miami, November 2nd and 3rd. Hang out with Bossy. I can tell you this, friends, it's fun. Hanging out with Bossy, it's kind of fun.
So I'm fun and you're brilliant.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Brilliant.
That said, I did name my company that I just talked about in 2009 Brilliant.
Right. But I mean, if nothing else, the number of alumni that have already purchased their tickets and that are just that
Bringing
still
spouses.
bringing spouses and continuing to engage, continuing to, just engage in relationship
grow.
with you. Yeah. I mean, it just speaks to what
Yeah, we have
their takeaway
we
and
have
their
people-
continued their
There's literally people driving across the country looking at different properties based on their own investment thesis using the framework that we provided. There's people looking at deals.
I mean, and the tools that you're going to be like
People
the new
people
tools.
are looking at deals in 5 times larger, 10 times larger than they've ever looked at in 4 weeks following. And not to say that they wouldn't have looked at it, we'll never know, right? The null hypothesis, we can't disprove it. But what we can say is that maybe they have a little more confidence, a little bit more self-reliance. Maybe they're looking at bigger deals because they're ready for it now, and they just needed that little support and time. Proximity is power. And so things like change really quickly. And then it's all about momentum, right? You want to make that change, build a habit, reinforce that habit, and then start to ride that momentum train. And I started it with just on this channel, the Outer Banks project, which leads to Nosara, which leads to the second opportunity, which leads to the third, which opens other doors. And it's just, you want to change that behavior, that self-limiting belief, the way that you've been operating, the way that you've been thinking, and you want to change it quickly, and then you want to ride the momentum of the wave. But in anything, it could be sport, it could be fitness, it could be health, it could be diet, it could be love, it could be relationships, it could be study, it could be poetry, it could be anything. But momentum is really important.
And can I just say, I mean, this is not my lane yet by any
nice
stretch. By any stretch of the imagination. I'm a student. I'm very much learning. I came into this not familiar with Airbnb. Again, this wasn't my lane, but it's really. I think the greatest compliment is the audience that you attract.
Yeah, great folks.
Really great. Yes. Yes. But I will say that it's not, there's nobody that showed up, the first live that was like, I want to get rich quick. I want you to give me, 1 + 1 = 6 million,
No.
or the shortcut. It was everyone that showed up wanted to be there, wanted to learn, wanted to grow, wanted, long-term wealth. And it was
a Ken with a thumbs up. he's
right?
the man.
Yeah. So I just
Ken,
think
a Ken contacted me in the pre-registration period, gave me some information. He was switching from long-term tenants to short-term. He had a couple of homes under renovation. I saw the architectural blueprint plans. Look, Ken is a wonderful entrepreneur, doctor, successful investor. He's a smart guy, right? He's a smart guy, and he's doing quite well. But I know that much about him because he and I are working together and got him to a certain level. And so, wouldn't it be cool if I knew that much about you, right? So Akin went through the whole process. I looked at the blueprints. We made a couple of suggestions. Then he has gone live. I think he's gotten 6 or more bookings really quickly. So we're now increasing his prices, and he's shared with us the listing. We took a look at it. I made some suggestions about certain slides and comments below, and just helping him out. And I think it's going really well. He bought a course for his wife while he was still in Miami, and he told us that his wife would be attending Miami, but he was on call. Again, he's a doctor. And then he came back and said, I'm switching my call around. I'm coming with her. The two of them are coming. So Akin and Lola, right?
For the win. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to meet Lola and see you again, Ken, and get an
Absolutely.
update what's going on.
So awesome.
So really appreciate
so awesome.
the vote of confidence and the business and coming back down and you taking your business seriously.
Absolutely.
Positive energy. Speaking of positive energy, we should probably end this.
Yes.
Because we've got a 5 a.m. wake-up call.
Rise and shine.
We have to go eat some healthy supper.
Yes.
Dinner.
Yes.
A little bit more work.
A little bit more work.
How should we end it? Should we ask a question or do something?
I don't know. What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
Well, I think the audience here, the viewer, should see if there's any questions that are pressing, right? Because I
Yeah.
feel like we've been speaking a
Talking.
lot. Yeah, that's one thing. Um, let's see. Richard went.
Great. I mean, but it's really fun engagement tonight. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, totally, right?
And thanks for
Totally.
the thumbs up.
Yeah, and I'm totally psyched with Todd coming from Sydney.
That's amazing. Super, super
Todd,
cool.
we just went to Australia earlier this summer to the Tony Robbins event, Date with Destiny, which was exactly that. It was a Date with Destiny. I filmed a video on the YouTube channel for you to see our sort of like review and thoughts on it. And then Eric and I went and went scuba diving off the Great Barrier Reef, which was a bucket list item for me and for her. She just didn't know it.
Oh my gosh, it was my birthday.
Yeah, it was.
Do you remember that?
Totally. Yeah, I remember that very well, in fact. We were on a liveaboard. Just like I'm sure when you were a young little girl, you thought, for this big, important birthday, I want to be on a liveaboard scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe it. Let's see what Laura's saying. Yes, changing our mindset first, believing in ourselves. My last 10 is moving out in a week of long-term rental, investing in redoing the kitchen and restrooms. Big renovation. I believe in this. I feel positive and happy about this. Joy, joy.
Amazing.
Yes, Laura. Good for you. Good luck with
Huge.
that. I think it's going to be the beginning of more. How are you doing at the 5 a.m. club?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it.
Stop.
I know.
It's easy for you.
Yeah, no. The first, well, let's see. So I'm 2 days in, and so far so good. And I will say, I mean, it's kind of crazy the amount that like I feel like I've accomplished just even by 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nuts. And honestly, I mean, here there's nowhere better to extend your days.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, so yeah, so far so good. And we've gotten to bed earlier, and I feel like it forces us typically to eat dinner earlier, and
which is a good thing.
yeah,
right?
I'm invested. I'm all in. I'm doing it.
Here's the thing that I was explaining to Erica that's so intellectually curious for me and psychologically important is a lot of life is about being in control. Whether you're in control or you're not in control, as long as you feel like you're in control and you have confidence, you're in a better place than if you feel like you're reactive or the victim or not in control. And I've taught that the key to happiness is focusing on what you can control versus what you can't control, focusing on what you have versus what you don't have. And I think being, filled with gratitude about all of that really changes your mindset. And so by having the discipline to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, even when you don't need to, it puts you in control of your day. And you can create a morning ritual that you believe in and then just execute. You create these habits. So wake up, and what we do is we wake up, we walk, I don't know, for 5 minutes through natural forest to the ocean, and then we either walk and hold hands and then go in the ocean, or this morning we did a little bit of work. We filmed some videos and then we went in the ocean together. But by the time we're done with all of that, it's still like 7 in the morning and we have a full day, but we got in those morning rituals. We did a gratitude exercise. We played, we were playful, we were joyous, we touched in the ocean, we were under the water, and like being like little kids. And that'll keep you young, you know what I mean? Like if you're playing in the surf for half an hour with your girlfriend and like just joyful and playful, I mean, look how smiley she is.
Totally. And what I really realized is that I want to live my life with intention. And that's regardless of what continent we're on, what country we're in, what our schedule is, what we've got going on. I think it's very easy for us to kind of it's very easy for me to just kind of go throughout the day and allow the day to happen to me. and get carried away with either, the little to-dos or schedule or circumstance, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that I show up better as a human in my life if I'm showing up with intention. If I'm, showing up in my day and there are things that I want to take to accomplish for myself, for my partner, for our business,
Yeah.
for my friends, for my family, so on and so forth. But if I set that intention, I am far, far more likely to follow through than to just kind of wing it.
Right, exactly. Um, Zenaida says, I love your videos. They're so helpful. Belize, I flew over
Ooh,
Belize to come down here, and it made me think. I haven't been to Belize in probably
I would
25 years or so,
love to
and
go to
it's a
Belize.
great diving community. We have to go diving in Belize, and that
Oh,
actually brings up a point. Like the reality that I'm living is just so congruent with who I am at my soul and my spirit and so on, that I haven't even fully embraced the significance of being down here in Nosara and the investment opportunity that I'm manifesting. And I've had these questions in my life. I don't want to call it regret. That has a negative connotation, but I've had these questions in my life about what my life would have been like if instead of going to college and going to work on Wall Street, if I instead went to college and business school and then came back down to Costa Rica. It's just so ripe with opportunities and with my relationships and so on. I think I could have been really successful here in a very different way. So that always is in the back of my mind, like, well, what would that have looked like? What would I have done? Would I have a huge coffee plantation? Would I have a lot of oceanfront investment properties? Would I be big in business? Shipping containers? I have no idea, right? So it's always been on the back of my mind. But now, like, we're doing it, right? There's so many things that are going on right here, right now, that this is my time to do it and shine. And I have the knowledge and the capital and the relationships to actually make it happen. So I'm super excited about that. But the point that I was actually going to make was, as I'm starting to get my arms around how much time we will be spending down here and how much we love it and so on, I'm also realizing that there's some unbelievable like day trips from here and overnight
right.
trips and places that I haven't been in Costa Rica, and we'll get like some super cool four-wheel drive vehicle and like just, I mean, we don't have a normal working schedule, right? Like no one's going to ask us why we weren't in the office at a certain time or
Right.
why we were gone on Tuesday. I mean, our entire life is just one big journey and adventure. So like, let's just do it from base camp here in Nosara. We're going for 3 days to the other side of the country in this super cool Land Cruiser.
Right.
Yes, with the dog.
Right. The
How
benefit
cool is
is that
that?
you get to come with us.
Yeah, Anthony Rallo is in the house.
We'll document it.
Let's see. I love that you're also teaching about self-love, mindset, and much more. Absolutely. You
Thank
know what?
you.
It's the most critical component.
Thank you.
I could teach you every single thing to do about Airbnb hosting, every single like how many forks you need and where you place them and how you open the door and all of this stuff, which you need to figure out to some degree on your own, because it's got to be your own system that you can train others on and replicate and scale. And so we can get you started, and there's a lot of really valuable information in there. But the really valuable information is to get you to that next level. Like the entrepreneurs that came to Nashville, their businesses have grown, their mind has grown, their dreaming has grown. They're at a different level than they were before they came to Nashville. Now, in order to get to Nashville, they have to raise their hand, and that alone tells you that they're self-selecting, they're investing in themselves, they're investing in their self-development, so they're going to have greater results than the people that don't elect to do that. But the most important thing in overcoming all of that is just the way that you view the world and your place in the world, your role in the world, how you respond to good things, being grateful, how you respond to bad things, letting it like roll off your shoulder and learning, right? So yeah, it's really important. And the most important thing you said there, by the way, was the self-love, right? Because if you can't love yourself, you can't love others. And others can't love you if you don't love
So true.
yourself. So when we talk about the importance of relationship, if you are scared or embarrassed or filled with anxiety or hatred for something that you did or some position that you're in or jealousy or rage or anger, like who's looking for that? When you're on Tinder, are you looking for like angry, jealous, hostile? No, like what is it? I don't even know which way you swipe, but you swipe some way, right? Like, no, thank you. I think it's swipe left. I don't know, right? But like,
I don't know.
but you don't want that. And
Right.
if that's what you are walking around with in your life for
And
whatever
it's
reason,
right.
it's
And
kind
it's
of
so
toxic for yourself and for others around you, and vice
totally.
versa. If you're
But it's human. I mean, the other thing is
absolutely,
that's absolutely true is, I mean, I I battle with insecurities all the time.
wait a minute, you just went on Facebook Live and YouTube
Yeah.
Live and you did the monkey call,
Right.
and you're
Right.
insecure.
Yes. Us.
Friends, can we
Sure.
get some
Totally.
hearts? Let's give Erica some love. Let's show her that
That's
we love her and that
it's just, but it's just, it's so, it can be, very natural. We all have, we all have our,
there's look at the love. Oh my gosh.
thanks,
I
you
mean,
guys.
my
That's super,
God.
that's amazing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
But
Thank
you know what? The syndrome is called, and I suffer from it too. I'm not good enough.
Totally.
Right? That's the
Oh my gosh.
that's the clinically described syndrome, which is I'm not good enough.
Right.
And
I
so
think I
as
own that
beautiful as
t-shirt.
you are,
Thank you.
you don't think you're
Right.
beautiful enough, or
Right.
you're beautiful some days and not others, or whatever. Right? And same thing with me teaching you. My biggest insecurity is like, well, who am I? And this stuff is so intuitive. It turns out that I'm Richard Fertig, and that what's intuitive to me isn't necessarily intuitive to you, just like the, world-class pianist can just do some things with their fingers that like we can't do. But there's a lot of value in spending time with you, and listening to what's giving you difficulty and giving you the opportunity to get past that, and then teach you exactly how to think about. It's such an important component of this investing, and so many of us don't think we're investing. We think we're hosting, or we think we're real estate investors, or we think that we're, just I'm the king of Nosara, right? Like, friends, I've got diversification. I've got places in Nosara, in Jackson Hole, in Alabama, in New York City, in the Hamptons. I'm sure I'm forgetting Outer Banks. I've got hundreds,
Right.
like there's a reason that is really important, and it's the way that any portfolio would be created. If you owned a portfolio of stocks, you wouldn't have all technology stocks. If you owned a portfolio of stocks, you wouldn't have all stocks that were based on like where you live. Like, I live in Cleveland, so my investment is in only Cleveland companies. When you went to decide where you were going to take a job, chances are you considered your community and said, well, I really like whatever, St. Louis, and so I'd like a job here in St. Louis. But when you graduated college, maybe you said, well, maybe I should take a look at another job somewhere else. Maybe it pays more. Maybe I'd learn more. Maybe I'd advance more. We don't go to just proximity. And so what I see people doing time and time again with the success on Airbnb, because it has been incredibly lucrative, not that hard to do moderately well. To be at the top 1% is a lot harder, and that's what it's required to scale and grow. But the challenge is, of course, as you start to scale and grow, you do what comes naturally. And Mark was an example of this a couple of nights ago, a week ago maybe. Incredibly successful real estate investor, with a geographic concentration. And he's doing what many people do, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I'm just going to encourage and at least ask you to think about doing something a little bit differently, and if it makes sense and it resonates, then try it. But the challenge with the concentration of your portfolio is just that you're basically saying, these are the best returns I could possibly find. The best risk-adjusted returns ever anywhere on the planet exist in my zip code. That's, by definition, a false statement. And then the second thing is you're taking binary risk. God forbid something happens to that one city, that one zip code, that one community, the one utility company. Crazy stuff happens every day. In Jackson Hole, we had wildfires at the same time we were having a hurricane down in the Outer Banks. So my diversification, like, I just picked the places with natural disasters. Right? But I'm making a point, and you want to have diversification so you don't get taken out only by the wildfires, or only by the hurricanes, or only by one rule change. Just happened in New York City, multifamily housing. Multifamily housing just took a 30% haircut. The value of New York City multifamily housing just took a haircut by about 30%, because overnight, unexpectedly, out of nowhere, the politicians in New York City decided to change the tenant rules and pricing that they allow in the city of New York. So if it can happen in New York, and 30% off overnight that nobody saw coming, you couldn't plan for. You don't want to get out after that. That's not the time to start to diversify. I know people personally who've renegotiated a deal down $42 million. They were going to purchase a portfolio of multifamily, obviously a very large portfolio, and we are not going to feel terribly bad for people that are, losing $42 million. But that's a big number and that changes lives and that has massive implications for their future and their investment and their investors and so on. And at the same time, we know other people who are now in a position of hardship. They bought too many assets. I've warned about multifamily time and time again about it being priced perfectly. They bought too many assets priced for perfection at the peak of the market. They used leverage, and then the rule changed, and now they're in trouble, right? Like the value of their portfolio gap down overnight. Really smart people. You have to be really, really successful to generate this kind of wealth and have this kind of portfolio size. These are not dummies, but they didn't view their real estate investment as a portfolio. They viewed it as proximity and convenience, and that's just not great. So in any event,
pretty smart, huh? Kind of makes you want to come to Miami.
it's just prudent. I mean, it's not smart. It's just prudent, right?
It's amazing.
And if you start to then analyze a little bit further down, so like risk, everyone sort of gets, right? I think everyone understands risk, but then you start to take a look at the cash stream, the cash flow stream, and you start to try and create a smoother return stream, and that's where things get really interesting, right? So if you could have just imagined for a moment thinking about your portfolio to reduce risk, mitigate risk, take as much risk out of the portfolio, make your portfolio as neutral as possible. And so we can think about different things like different states and natural disasters and different currencies, and you can just try and reduce the risk to zero. But then the next level, which is really cool and where it gets a lot of fun because nobody likes talking about risk, is in making money. So now think about getting into a forward-looking view about where people are going to travel and how people are going to live their lives and where people are going to go and how they're going to go there and why they're going to go there, and start to have some forward views on thematic investing, and then start to think about creating a brand around that theme. And then you put together a low-risk, high-return portfolio, something consistent with your why, that has a forward-looking lens. And just imagine selling that, right? Like somebody will buy that. Somebody will buy what I am building. It doesn't mean it's for sale, but whatever you build, you have to have that lens towards creating more value. And so last night at dinner, we were just chatting about this opportunity that I manifested out of nowhere. We talked about it a little earlier if you've missed it, but basically somebody didn't give me very good service in something I was trying to do. So I turned to Eric, I said, let's compete against him. We can do it better, right? Like who does that? I guess I do. And then it turns out through a series of relationships and blah, 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 that we may not need to compete. We might be able to buy. And so like just take over this quite successful operation because I wanted to compete with them and started asking my relationships what's going on with it. But my point is just this. When you combine that with some of the other things that I have going on, and that's all thematic investing using the future-proof framework that I just discussed, that I taught in Nashville and I'll teach in Miami again, we start to build something with lasting power, and some of the big boys that have not been awake, they've been asleep at the wheel, they suddenly wake up, and the way that they enter the market is to buy. They buy the best provider. So I'm just making this up. Let's say that you were really into running, I don't know, and you had the top locations for Airbnbs in every marathon city. So every single marathoner wants to stay at your place when they run the New York City Marathon. They want to stay at your place when they run the Chicago Marathon. They want to stay at your place when they run the Boston Marathon. You've got a running marathon niche. Pretty nichey, right? And so you're in these cities and you make big money and you create this brand around running and so on and so forth. And when there's not races, you rent it out to other people, but it's probably still active, healthy people that like to run. Maybe you're near parks. I don't know. You figure this out. But somebody, if you are successful enough and you do this well enough and you have enough properties, somebody will buy you out. Like
ASICs.
ASICs. The ASIC collection for Airbnb Marathon Boutique Hotel, right? So there's just a million examples of those. And if you're not into running, I don't recommend you do that. But if you're a runner yourself and that resonates and like that's going to motivate you, you just created something that somebody could buy you for a multiple. So we're not selling the real estate. This house is worth 400,000. This house is worth 600,000. This house, nonsense. This is a portfolio sale with a multiple due to the brand and the locations and everything else that you've sold, and somebody can enter the market really quickly. That's how you make a killing, right? Does that make sense? Anybody? Can I get some thumbs up? We're at 9 still. YouTube just isn't very friendly with the thumbs up.
What have we got going on here? It's
I don't know.
Glad to hear you enjoyed my beautiful country.
Oh, it was fabulous.
I really appreciate your videos. I'm hosting in Kylene, Texas, thinking of doing something in my home country, Jamaica, but hesitating.
Jamaican me crazy, dude. Why? What do you mean? Jamaican me crazy. Why wouldn't you do something in your home country? I'm in my home country and it's amazing. Let's see. The body follows the mind. Be positive, folks. Absolutely. I have never been to Montenegro, but I'd love to go. I would really like to go. John Hodge, how are you, my friend? The Yanks are up 5-0. How about the reverse? I deserve X. Yeah, no entitlement, man. Different seasonality. Absolutely. You want to diversify everything. I believe you're smart. Don't limit yourself. I think you just blew my mind, man. Mark, dude, this is me and you over Facebook Live occasionally.
Awesome.
Like, we can go really deep. This is just like scratching the surface. But if you stop and think about the power of that, we're no longer Airbnb hosts, and we're no longer about like occupancy rates and so on and so forth, right? We're using these investment vehicles and this hospitality concept at a point in time when there's incredible opportunity. There's no institutional investors in the entire space. It's mom and pop, and like we're just kind of just doing it because like it's working really well, and the place across the street just came up, and I don't have to take much risk because I know that what I'm making here and it's working, so I'm just gonna do it again. But you know what happens is when you keep taking those same steps forward in the exact same path, eventually you can't like reverse, you can't get out of it, you haven't thought about it, and it's a little bit like, you know, you're at the whim of others, right? You're susceptible because you didn't build this by design. You just sort of like, the easiest way to think about it is when we build a house, we go to an architect and we lay it out on paper and we're like, we want a hallway here, and we want a bedroom here, and we want this, and we want to take advantage of this view, and like there's a plan. There's a set of blueprints. It's called the blueprint. And then the builders go and build that. But imagine the reverse. We take all of these builders into a plot of land, we give them all the tools. They pick up the tools closest to them. The guy with the saw really should have the hammer, but they just pick up whatever's closest, and we're like, let's build a really nice house. And so like one guy has a vision of where the kitchen should go and somebody else has a vision. And like what ends up, maybe you can live in there, but it's definitely not designed, and it's certainly suboptimal, and it doesn't have a lot of value, and it's just sort of like hacked together. And if this is the biggest investment opportunity of your lifetime and or your biggest investments that you've ever made, right? Like not too many of us are going out and buying $250,000 stocks and $500,000 stocks and $1.2 million in stock. So if we're buying this and we're using leverage and we've got mortgages and we've got personal guarantees and we're taking some risk, it's really important that this is designed properly, thoughtfully, with intent, with purpose, with a vision about your why. And then I'm going to encourage you to take it even further and start to think of yourself as building a brand of something that's meaningful to you, that somebody else with more money would like to enter at some point, but they don't have the vision that you have. But then you got to get started early because guys like me are going to be buying more aggressively on this same, you know, right? So like right now it's open, and that's why we're doing these live events, and that's why we've got the course, and we've got mastermind and inner circle and soon to be membership. If you haven't signed up for the membership wait list, I encourage you to do so. There's a really strong reason to do it, but you must be on the wait list for the membership. So anyway, Whitney was in Nashville. How you doing? Mark is crying. That's funny. And we're up to 11. I am a new host doing well hosting, but I hesitate because you live in Kylene and you still work full time. I'll get there, I think. You know, you shouldn't be scared. You should just do it, right? Nike had it right. They paid a lot of money for that slogan. Just do it. We're here to tell you, go to the Facebook group. There's 16, 17,000 hosts from all over the world, probably even in Killeen, that are doing this, that are doing it successfully. It's not as scary or as hard or as risky as you think. I encourage you to do it intelligently, legally, responsibly, and those are the hard things, right? But like, it's really can change your life. It can change your life like it's changed my life. I would never in a million years think that I'd be going live on Facebook and on YouTube, sitting next to this beautiful lady in my home country of Nosara, embarking on a 14-room, 15-room boutique hotel, a house here, 200 units in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, plus 8 more all over the U.S. Like, just wasn't on my mind. Call me silly, but it wasn't. And yet I'm doing it. And so you can too. And what I would encourage you to do is become educated, learn, develop on your own. Join us here on YouTube and on Facebook. Come over to the group. If you can do the membership, do the membership. If you can come to Miami, come to Miami. But the time is now. There's no doubt about it. The opportunities are spectacular. And so for anybody who's looking for a career change or to double down on their side gig or want to get their significant other spouse involved in something, people that are homeowners and you're not really using them, people that are looking to make, career changes and change lives and so on. It's a great time right now. And, you will hear me, I promise you, at some point tell you that it's not a great time. I think that's probably 5 years out or 7 years out. I don't have a crystal ball. But when the institutional money comes in, they come in quick. They come in fast because they understand the urgency and how fleeting the opportunity set is. And that's what happens. It happens in stocks, it happens in bonds, it happens in multifamily real estate, it happens in private equity, it happens in venture capital. I could go on and on. I mean, it's just I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, just telling you that the time is now to get in before they do. That maybe you don't know. You're such an inspiration. You're the reason my husband and I bought 2 cabins within 1 year. See, friends, 2 cabins, 1 year. Probably wasn't on her mind, right, Gloria? That was kind of, maybe 1 was scary, right? To many people, buying like that first one is really scary. And then buying the second, we're not ready yet. That's a big thing. Let's see how this works. But
congratulations. That's awesome.
And momentum is key. So
Awesome.
struggling at 4 properties, working on systems, and making a little after paying everything. Ernesto, my friend, that should not be the case. I don't know enough about you or what you're struggling with. I think systems and processes are incredibly important. I think automation is incredibly important. I think empowering your team is incredibly important. I don't think you can do all 4 on your own. And it doesn't sound like a lot of fun. And if you're not making a lot of money, we have to figure out what the problem is. But you should be making money unless you're in, totally the wrong places. And those are few and far between, believe it or not. So there's something, maybe you're not charging enough. Maybe you're optimizing on occupancy as opposed to profitability. Maybe your marketing isn't that great, and so then you don't have enough bookings. Like, I'm not sure what's going on, but there's one of like 4 levers that need to be really pulled, and then the other 3 levels like adjusted a little bit, and I think you'll be just fine.
Ernesto, are you part of the membership, or are
Well,
you? I mean, does he have any kind of
help?
what would be the next step? What should he do?
So I would sign up for Miami Live if you can be in Miami November 2nd and 3rd. And I would also check out
That'd be
the
huge.
Facebook group. I
Right.
mean, you're on the Facebook group. So
Right.
post your questions, my friend. Post your questions in the Facebook group and see what other people say. Like, what is giving you a hard time?
Right.
And then also the upcoming membership, if you haven't put your name on the wait list, go ahead and do it. I unfortunately don't know what the link is, but
We'll post it.
Yeah,
When we close
there you
out of
go.
here, we'll post it in the comments.
yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Does that make sense? Like what we're talking about, the opportunity, but the opportunity to do something bigger, better, bolder, faster, in a different way than you've been thinking about it, right? Just because it may sound foreign doesn't mean it's not the best. Oftentimes, what sounds foreign is in fact the best. That's why it's the best. If everybody was doing it, it wouldn't be the best. So that's just the way that I've been trained to think my entire life and to be contrarian and to find opportunities faster than other people, see the future, act faster, takes conviction, right? Like when it's no one else is doing it and no one else understands the investment thesis, you can't make that investment if you don't have confidence and conviction, if you don't understand that you have limited risk and you have a lot of return, right? But once you understand all these things and they're logical, then it makes a lot of sense, right? Like there's no other way to do it, right? Like there's no other way to do it. So, there we go. Well, I think that's the live for
but
Miami.
Thank you,
But
Laura.
thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it. You have a great treat. Competition is the issue. Okay, well, here's a really interesting point. Ernesto, competition is the issue. Well, then maybe it's the wrong location. And that's what I'm saying. What worked in the past won't work in the future. So I don't know your story, but I'd love for you to tell us. Chances are you started with one and you had success in the same location. So you got a second one. And it's about the same time that the guy across the street was having success with one and he got a second one. And then, maybe you got a third and he got a third. And at a certain point, and this is my point, like what worked in the past won't work in the future. There'll be way too much competition in the wrong places. But that doesn't mean that there's not incredible opportunities in other places. They're just not in your neighborhood. And so we just have to travel further. But the benefit of traveling further is also that you can't travel there yourself, right? So it's now remote hosting. You have to build teams and operations and systems and processes. You have to develop a business. And at the same time, you're lowering your overall risk because where you will find these investment opportunities, by definition, should have a different set of risks than the ones that are already in your portfolio. Every single piece of investment needs to be diversifying away from your existing risk profile and also be increasing your return profile, right? So like in many cases, you're looking for what's called negative correlation. If you've got something that has exposure to hurricanes, you want something that would benefit in the event of a hurricane. And so that's how you start to hedge things. And start building a portfolio with hedged assets and non-correlated assets and geographically diversified. You'll have something of lasting value. Paula, what's happening, Paula? Another Nashville friend. Nice to see you. Let's see here. Wow, we've been on for a long time.
We have.
Oh, Activate Kruger retracted his message. I wanted to know what it was. Very scary, but we followed all your videos and pushed us, so far we are doing very well. I hope to be part of your membership soon. I'm on the waiting list. Yes.
Awesome.
Well, listen. I pushed the wrong button here. Look for an email. I think it's coming out overnight or the next day. Paula, I can't wait to see you again. We have a call coming up. I can't wait to speak to you and hear what's going on. And I hope you're reading that EMF. I know you said you lost it, but you got to find it. That's an important book. Very important book.
So good.
What else? Anything else? I feel like we've covered an awful lot.
I feel like we've
But I feel like we have an awful lot to cover.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the folks the other thing we're doing? Erica, Ms. Bossy here, is going to school. Self-development, self-education. She is going to school. What are you going to learn?
Spanish.
How great is that? How amazing is that? Basically, I just think she'll have a much better, on a higher quality of life in Costa Rica if she's a little bit more comfortable with her Spanish skills. I mean, she's got very basic Spanish, un poquito.
So basic.
Un poquito.
Taco.
Right.
Taco.
And
taco, burrito.
Yeah.
Guacamole.
Shopping and food, maybe some cleaning. That's about it, right?
Right.
But so I just think it'll be so much better for her. She'll enjoy herself so much more if she speaks Spanish. And then I think she'll be taken more seriously in and around here and won't be, transient or a tourist or whatever. I mean, she looks beautiful, she gets attention, and she pretty much looks like a tourist, right? I mean, she looks like a
I don't
tall
blend
surfer.
in here. Yeah, I definitely don't blend.
Right. I mean, I kind of blend in here.
Yeah.
And I will say that my Spanish game is improving.
Oh my gosh.
You give me 6 months here.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It's
gonna
hot.
Be really good. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, we go back to, so I turned to Erica this morning and I gave her that theory. And when we're ready, which will be probably not this trip. We've got so many things going on with the designer, decorator, architect, closings, lawyers. Charles is coming to film. We have, surf, yoga. I mean, and I can't believe we're only here for like another 2.5 weeks or so.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
I know, it's bad. But anyway.
Wah, wah.
But the point is, when we come back, we're going to get Ms. Bossy here, a private Spanish instructor, coach, tutor. I don't even know what the right word is.
Yeah. I mean, I may dive in before then, but immersification is like the best way to do it, right?
Right. And then like weekly. And so,
Right.
Self-love, self-help, self-development, self-growth, increase our confidence walking around here. I mean, it's all these wonderful things, but you first have to think to do it. Then you have to decide that you will do it, invest in yourself, and you have to put your money where your mouth is. And then the hardest part of it all is clearing your calendar and just like making it happen every single week. But if she does that, friends, and she will do that, when she does that.
Right. Well, and I'm encouraging all of you to be students, so why not be a student myself, right?
Look, Robert's learning Spanish. I'm labeling entire upstairs from the mirror. There you go. That's a great way to do it. That's a great way to do it.
That's legit.
Congratulations, you will do great. Pura vida. Absolutely activate Kruger. See, Mark's happy for you too. Felicidades. See, look at this. This is the best.
Amazing, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
You guys are
Muy
awesome.
bien. Yeah, I mean, so it's just one of those things where when you take your game to the next level, whatever it can be health, it could be fitness, it could be love, it could be spirituality, it could be language. It doesn't really matter, but constantly be improving, always be striving, always ask what you can do better. And to me, and I think it was maybe even like a blind spot for her. She didn't realize that she could learn Spanish. It wasn't in her mindset to learn Spanish. She was just, I'm doing a lot of the speaking and we're getting along just fine. And it's like.
So it was really interesting. So we had this conversation this morning, and then I actually, for the first time since since we arrived in Costa Rica, I went to the local grocer right around the corner while you were here doing some work. And it was, and obviously I don't speak enough Spanish to be able to, kind of navigate that very fluidly or gracefully. And the young woman that was working behind the counter, she didn't speak any English. And so we really fumbled through it and struggled through it. I mean, to the point where I was like, well, can I have a bag? And finally figured out that I had to buy a bag. And so anyway, nothing catastrophic or a big deal. But if I am for any period of time out of the year going to consider this home, I have to be so respectful that I learn the language so that I can communicate with those that I need to. Right. It's totally disrespectful to come into this place and expect others to make it more convenient for me to be here. I mean, that's just super yuck, So I'm excited, and I'm excited to get my brain working in that way, and it's just gonna be, practice cool.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I'm jealous. Maybe I'll take some Spanish lessons too.
No.
Yeah, accelerate it. Let's go, folks. Let's go. Jason, how are you? All right, let's see what else is going on here. Pura vida. I think we got that. Cool. Well, I know we have a lot of people on now.
What are you guys doing what are you guys doing awake at this hour?
It's not that late.
It's not that late.
No, but
go to bed.
But we do have a 0500 appointment tomorrow morning with the ocean.
Yes.
I'm trying to see if we missed any comments. Anybody else have any other questions? It's 1 p.m. Yeah, because he's in Sydney.
Well, then it is totally acceptable for you to be awake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're good.
Don't go to bed.
Right.
That is inappropriate.
So what else? We spoke a little bit about sort of diversification and construction, relationships, Outer Banks, Nosara. You two add so much value. Why wouldn't you take advantage of your wisdom? There you go. Well, thank you.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
I'm trying to think. I feel like there's got to be a little bit more wisdom.
Is
I don't know. Tomorrow we have our team meeting. That's exciting. Tomorrow we've got the membership email going out. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow we have the pre-registration for the Nashville,
Nope, not
sorry,
Nashville.
Miami event, November
See,
2nd
that was
and
the
3rd.
other. Oh, that was right.
What?
I was supposed to learn the second line to that song.
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
Because it's like, welcome to Miami. And it's in Spanish.
Do I hire someone for communications with your Airbnb? You mean for like guest management and check-in and calendar management and all that? Yes, I don't do that myself. I train Hardick actually handles it for me. But before Hardick, I had another team member handling it, and Hardick evolved, just grabbed it. Bienvenido a Miami. Yeah, man. Mark, are we going to see you there, my friend? I'd love to meet you. Let's see, it's 1 p.m.
That's it. That's the next line.
That's the next line?
I think so. I think he's helping me out.
He probably is. I'm just like, I hope to see you there too, man.
I think that's
Who's
it.
amazing? Hardick Hanchal. Exactly.
You
it's all
ridiculous.
Need a Hardick.
It's ridiculous how
Literally.
amazing he is.
Yeah. Surround yourself with amazing people. Friends.
Attract amazing people.
Attract
Grow
amazing
amazing people.
Grow amazing people.
Stretch amazing people. Invest in amazing people.
So
build
it's
relationships.
the next line,
with,
and he's planning on coming. Yeah, build
Awesome.
relationships with amazing people.
yes.
Right? And that's what's going on down here. There's a lot of incredible people that have been doing some really interesting work for a period of time, and somehow we're like
Yes.
front and center.
Yes. And we're celebrating. Well, I'm really celebrating and championing Charles today because I mean he's a longtime team member.
Totally.
But he definitely did some outstanding work today.
If you can't find a Hardick, be a Hardick. That's true too. It's hard, you know.
Right? I tried.
Network equals
tried.
your net worth. Exactly. Exactly right. Mark's on it. Network equals your net worth.
I mean, yeah, amazing.
But the key, Mark, and you keep offering, which is very hospitable of you and I think very appropriate and your mindset's in the right place, is you want to over-deliver value first to be sort of like invited, pulled into the network, right? You don't want to like go crash the party. I can't tell you how many times, Eric and I were just speaking about this a couple of days ago, I keep running into really successful entrepreneurs in a variety of walks of life and just passing, if you will, and there's an immediate connection. We just got an email. There's a video coming out of an entrepreneur that we visited his family tea operation. One of the best world-class tea purveyors in the world was based outside of my child's boarding school area. And so we went in there and good fortune, happenstance, manifesting, karma, destiny, whatever you want to call it, positivity, we got connected with the owner, son of the founder, second generation, and we met his son, the third generation. We met his wife, and he took us on a tour. We captured the whole thing on GoPro, and we're going to be releasing that video for you to learn how other entrepreneurs operate in other industries, even though it may not apply directly line for line to your Airbnb business. There's so much wisdom when you start to cross-examine what works in other industries and the way other people think, and then you apply it to yourself. And so a lot of wisdom in that. But we forged a friendship, and he reached out to me in LinkedIn afterwards and said that we brightened his day and wanted to know when we were back in town, and we're going to be back for Parents' Weekend, and you know they've invited us to dinner. Like
Amazing.
so about network.
Amazing.
About network. You know, I didn't go in and demand an interview or be self-important and say, do you know...
Oh, what else did we learn? That his son-in-law...
Oh, this is insanity. This is insanity.
Gosh. Seriously.
So a couple
Seriously.
things about this guy. He's a graduate of my alma mater. He graduated Cornell University. And so during the interview process, he kind of was like, well, he mentioned it. And he was like, why didn't you say anything? I was like, well, how would I have known?
No.
And
This
he
is
thought he was
like
wearing
at
a
the
shirt.
end.
Right, the
this
very
is
end.
the very end as we're getting in our cars in the parking lot.
Right. So he's like, well, why didn't you know? And he thought he was wearing a shirt that said Cornell, and he wasn't. So I was like, well, your shirt doesn't say it. Then he pointed to the bumper sticker on his car that wasn't there, and he was like, oh, I thought I had a bumper sticker. And I was like, no, you didn't have that either. So I would never know. So the first crazy coincidence was that he was a graduate of the Cornell Hotel School. His family was in the hotel business. He was pretty interested in what was going on with Airbnb. And he shared with us that his son-in-law was running one or two successfully in town because I said, there's a big opportunity in towns like this, right? The forward thinking, the thematic, understanding where people are going for centuries to come, not just like, well, it's happening now. Like, no, let's position ourselves in our business where people are coming for an extended period of time. And so I shared with him that sort of mindset and that methodology. He's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And so reached out to me on LinkedIn. I thanked him for his time, said it was wonderful meeting him. I'm going back. He wanted to know when. I said Parents' Weekend. His wife invited us to dinner. So now we may go to dinner with these folks, which is amazing and so generous. And then he
So
said
kind.
back to me, and this is what Erica just blew my mind, reminding me of. He said, turns out my son-in-law has been following you for over a year. So like this guy came
Watching your
home,
videos,
right?
yeah.
And he said something like, the hair makes the man or something.
Yeah.
But so he came back, probably from long day, it was a Saturday, Sunday, Labor Day weekend, busy weekend. And it was just like, yeah, well, I met this crazy guy and his wonderful girlfriend, and we had a really great time. I showed him around, and then I took him into the hemp fields, and
Right.
everyone was like, what? He's like, yeah, he was kind of interesting, and they were interesting, and I don't know, he had long hair, and has this YouTube channel on Airbnb, and like the son was like, was it Richard? Like, what?
I know. I can't wait to
Can
hear
you
how that
imagine?
conversation
I
went.
want to see the hearts for that. Could you imagine? Like, they'd be like,
Oh my
oh my
gosh.
gosh, I was with some crazy guy.
Right.
Like, oh, I know that guy.
Right.
That
guy.
Homework for Erica, exactly. There we go. There are the hearts. You're not involved with Airbnb, but I still find value in your channel. Keep up all the good work. Awesome, my friend. I really appreciate it. There's some hearts. And like that's the way that we talk about relationships. There's another entrepreneur that I met here in Costa Rica, incredibly successful entrepreneur, made and lost hundreds of millions of dollars over a variety of careers. Now is onto something that I think is incredibly helpful, sustainable for him, really deeply connected in his why. And I think it will be even more successful in this endeavor than any other one that wasn't connected to his why. He made all that money when he thought happiness would be from money. So he made money to make money. And what he called himself, self-described, I was a huge asshole. And now he's onto something which he's no longer an asshole. He's about contribution, helping people. He's helped me. He's helped Eric. He's helped tens of thousands of others and will continue to help at an accelerated pace. And I firmly believe he will be more successful and make more money as a side product of being aligned with his why and being like true to himself and his soul. And so I share with you all this, that this is a guy really wildly successful. We walked in, randomly sat next to him at the table. I had no idea that he was the owner of this enterprise. Just sat down next to him, had a cup of coffee, started chatting. And I was like, have you been here before? He's like, yeah, a lot. I was like, oh, cool. Whatever. We just had a nice conversation. Turns out he's the owner. I didn't know it then. It took me a couple of days. People were like, oh, yeah, you want to go talk to him? I was like, oh, I sat next to him. And by the end, there was a real bond, a real relationship, an affinity. He really was drawn to me and me to him. And we will be seeing more of each other. And so, like, that's really cool. And so that's the second one, right? There was the tea and then the Costa Rican. And then there was the Bali soap. That's also on video, and maybe we should release that as well. Another entrepreneur that I know in Bali that's really successful. He makes scents and soaps and things like that for little-known companies like the Four Seasons Hotel, the Mandarin Hotel, the W Hotel. So that's who he services, and he gave Erica and my daughters and I a tour of his business, and we have a great relationship. And then we were in Bali, so 2 times in Bali, we met Pascal Morabito and his lovely wife Marie, and we filmed a couple of videos and shared those with you. But Pascal and I are in communication. Like, we're going to remain friends for a long time. And so these are just people in my network that are in my network because I'm authentic and I'm curious and intellectually, present and adding value and listening and offering advice and suggestions and trying to be helpful. And they've invited me in at a deeper level
And
than
kind and
yeah.
warm and engaging and sincere
and good looking,
very
handsome. But in any event, the point just being when you talk about your network, it's important to grow your network. It's important to go into different locations and be with different people and in different communities. But it's not enough to just go. You can't just go and stand at the sidelines and like watch the networking and the community building. You have to be present. And unfortunately, too many of us go and we're like a bull in a china shop. And we just like, we want to go, we want to meet all the right people right now, and let's do business, and blah, 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 blah. And like, no one's really attracted to that, you know? Or maybe they're attracted in it in a transactional way, right? Yeah, let's do a lot of business really quickly and transact. But the type of relationships that you want to build that are going to run your empire for decades, right? Start to change your mindset. It's not about like the problem here today. It's about the solution that lasts for 10 years. And you hire people for the solution for the 10 years, and you speak to them that way. You tell them your vision for the 10 years, and you start to cultivate like a culture, and you attract people, and you start to think differently than people. People find you curious, kind of like you guys are listening to us on the YouTube channel. You could be doing anything you want, or Facebook group, but there's something here. There's some draw. There's some interest. There's some knowledge. There's some wisdom. There's some entertainment. There's something that's drawing you to us, and we get the same from you. And so we're in this relationship and we're building this network. But I just share with you that you want to build deep relationships, not transactional relationships.
Right. And you also want to determine what you can give to the relationship, not solely what you can get from the relationship.
Correct. And Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a great book about that, which is jab, 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 right hook, right? So you give, you give, you give, you give, and then in your time of need, then you ask. Right? But you don't just like show up and ask.
Right.
Because that doesn't really work in the long run. All right. I think that was the extra little bit of wisdom.
Yes.
Little relationship thing. I'm just going to go and ask again if anybody is interested in the membership. We got to post that link.
We will.
The advanced registration is coming out for that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then don't let that distract you. And in fact, there's some like cross things happening. Like we got algorithms going. Look, you see what I'm saying? It's like this kind of stuff. Oh.
And a little bit of this.
Yeah. So there's some things happening, and like, you want to be in the right place at the right time. But also sign up for Miami, November 2nd and 3rd. Small venue. We've already sold a lot of seats to people that are already returning attendees.
To alumni. Mm-hmm.
Two alumni and some in multiple alumni, not the number two. But we're selling it two alumni who are returning, and in many cases, people are bringing spouses. So there's some seats already gone. Then we open it up to the pre-registered people, mm-hmm. and then we'll open it up to the public. So,
right.
Super exciting.
It's going to be super rad. Great venue, great energy,
Thanks to
great
you,
content.
Bossy. Thanks to you. This would be your first unbooked weekend. I'm still having to fight the urge to drop my price. We turned down a low price hunter yesterday, but now kind of sweating. You know, I'm so glad you brought that up. You always want to turn down the low price hunter. Do not be desperate. It's the video that I just shared
today.
It's today's YouTube video. Talks about don't chase the dollars and don't be desperate. It's okay to have vacancy, right? Like this is a marathon. That would be like getting really upset about your 712th step in the marathon, right? You're going to take 300,000 steps. It's okay that on your 712th, you didn't land quite right. Don't beat yourself up.
Great illustration.
Keep the vision forward. You got 24 more miles to go, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it is.
Right.
All right, friends. I have to take Ms. Bossy here.
Yes.
To get a little bit of dinner.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's late and we got an early morning and we don't want a big heavy meal sitting in our tummies.
No. Never. Jamás. Nunca. So, how many seats in Miami? You know, I think that the venue holds somewhere around 75 or so, plus minus. It depends how we set it up. So it will be bigger than Nashville, but not significantly bigger the way that the layout is. And again, my intent and my purpose and my why is to teach and educate, and proximity is power. And I want to get to know you all and be close to you. And so it's not...
He wants to build deeper relationships.
Deeper relationships. Listen, if you were on earlier, you heard what I knew about akin, for example. And Mark hasn't even been to any of these things, but he's been very vocal and commenting and using...
It's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been using the social media really well, so I know a fair amount about him in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And then there's people like Sophie in Canada, and I know a lot of people. So Jorge down in Puerto Rico was here before, and
Kim?
Kim, exactly. Kim, who's right, fantastic. Enjoy you too, Anthony.
I mean,
you, dude, should be coming
if
to
Kim
Miami.
wasn't,
What?
I mean, just case in point. I mean, she just a really, really great human, and I can't imagine the Nashville event without her. And she was the scholarship winner, and I can't think of anyone more deserving. And she just, I mean, she showed up 150% and is continuing
And then
to,
some.
and then some.
And then, but you
And I
say
mean,
the thing
she's
that you
just
said yesterday about out of the number of people.
out of 49 people, you picked
ahead.
the one. The one. Like,
The one who's doing the work,
the one
who's
who
showing
is
up,
the one,
who's
right.
changing her life.
The one who is changing her life. She's changing her life. She's changing her children's lives. She is, I mean, I think it's very safe to say that you've changed mine, you've changed ours. I mean, what you have, I mean, you just, it's, you've reinstilled my faith in people, and it's been incredible, you know, for me to just be a witness to, like, he picked you, and he could not have picked anyone better. I'm so proud of you. You're so freaking rad, and I can't wait to
we're just getting started.
Yeah, I can't wait to
right?
see
Like,
what you
we're
do.
talking, it's
I
been
can't
30
wait
days.
to see what you do next.
Yeah, it's been 30 days. All right, friends, here we go. We're going to say goodnight. Mark has said we should go eat because we have our 5 a.m., which is so true. So here's the quick calendar. Tomorrow we got our team meeting.
Yes.
Do a little bit of...
We're meeting our property manager.
that's Thursday.
Oh. Okay.
Charles is coming Friday.
Yay! Check those.
The architects, the contractors, the designers on Wednesday. I mean, there's a lot of incredible things happening. And the thing
I'm
that
going
we're
to
most...
a new workout class
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
tomorrow at 9, from 9 to 10.
Tell them what it is.
So from 9 to 9:30, it's Booty Buster, and
Booty Buster. I mean,
from 9:30
friends.
to 10, it's Ab Buster.
Ab Buster.
Yowza.
And I'm just going to go for a jog on the beach, I think. You know?
Probably
we're
not.
gonna- we
Probably
must
not.
do
He's probably going to be on social media.
And then we have to do some yoga.
And then we're doing yoga.
And then, Charles is coming down here. I think he's 5 days down here.
Yeah.
So we are going to get some content around the way that I see the opportunity set, the before, the vision, the experts that we're working with, what we're doing. And Charles had a really good point about this. The Outer Banks project is so nebulous. It's all just like theory, right? It's like land, which, by the way, for those of you who missed it, totally fine. Hurricane Dorian was like, we got very fortunate. There's no damage whatsoever.
Amazing.
But it's so nebulous because it's all just theoretical. It doesn't exist, and it's all on paper, and there's nothing else like it out there. And so it's just like, I view it as immense opportunity. The fact that there's nothing else out there, like,
It's incredible.
I'll be a monopolist. Like, fantastic. I have no competition.
Right.
I love that. But other people view it as like, I don't quite get it, and I don't really know, and it's a lot of risk, and so on and so forth. But the thing that's going down right here in Nosara, to Chuck's credit when he described it to us, is like, it's tangible, it's real. We're going to walk in, there's actual rooms, there's actual like paint colors that we're going to change, and we're going to get all of these decisions, which are a million decisions, but really fun decisions, really connected to, our why, what we want to do, the enjoyment that we want people to travel to Nosara and stay here as our guests. Is just so personal and amazing, and we can impact not only their lives, but also the community here and enrich it. And Eric asked a really great question of the current owner today and said, what is the community missing, right? Like, what type of tribe is needing more lodging here? Is it more of the same? Is it a different tribe? Is it a different price point? Like, what does the community need? And if you start to think about the intelligence, the brilliance of that question is, Let's remove ourselves. Let's remove our ego. Let's serve others. Let's serve people that want to come down here. Let's serve the community. You just win versus somebody who's just like, I'm going to charge this amount of money for this amount of money and blah, 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 and this is what I do. And right, like that worked yesterday, friends. And it was really easy and really successful and really profitable. And continue to do that while you can. But I wouldn't reinvest based on that alone. That's not enough on a go-forward basis. And for the first time, I think, it's your phone that's low battery.
I know! What?
Yeah. So I'd love to see a couple of more likes and thumbs up on YouTube in particular. Charles Hurley, man, how you doing?
Jack Mose, we were just singing your praises.
No, that's not true. What we were actually doing was saying, hey, we're going to work your butt off here in Nosara. That's what we were talking about. Everyone was really angry. They're like, Charles better get down there. You better document the before, and I want to see what it looks like, man. I want to see if Richard can make it better. I don't know if Erica can add the right colors. I'm just kidding.
Not even close.
I can't even act enraged.
Right.
I don't even know how to do it.
Right. That was really good, though.
Was I scary?
Yeah. No, we were just talking about how you just like crushed it today work-wise.
Charles.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Many people will see his work.
Yes.
Right? I think it's actually everybody. It's going to be released on YouTube. I think it's tomorrow.
Go on the YouTube channel today, right now, and you can see his brilliance. And then tomorrow you will see his brilliance as well, unveiled.
And then the next day, and then he's going to come
down
here.
And then he's going to come down here. And
he may never go home. Charles, listen, you should let Hillary and your dog know that if you don't return, you're in Nosara. Right? Don surfing.
Yeah, right.
Charles doing like yoga every day and eating like vegan.
Oh my God.
Dude.
You're so excited, Chuck.
Absolutely. Man. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. No, but seriously, there's going to be so many great content opportunities. Did you get that Airbnb book, my man? I never heard back. I'd be curious. Like, if you got that, that's cool. Let us know. What else? I think we're done. 1 hour, 6 minutes. Couple more. Sup, Charles? He needs to come back so I can take him out to lunch very soon. Scott Johns, there you go. I like it. Nice. All right, friends. We will see you tomorrow. We're up bright and early, 0500 into the ocean. You want to do one more monkey? I mean, in all seriousness, the most beautiful monkey in Costa Rica. There is no more beautiful monkey in Costa Rica, maybe even in Central America. I don't know. Maybe in the world.
Thanks, honey.
All right, friends. Hasta mañana. Be well. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
How do we end the YouTube? It's always a little challenging.